Segment with the U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. We're good, Paul. Thanks for asking.
Loud and clear, Washington, D.C., the ultimate ground zero for chaos. It's even more now than it was several weeks ago since the last time we had you on. I don't even know where to start here. Let me get to this one first of all. The $95 billion national security package, the aid to Israel and Ukraine and some other allies. And Roger Wicker was one of the 22 GOP members who voted with the Democrats for the package. The Trump train that apparently has, I think, coalesced an increasing large majority of the new GOP was adamant about putting some type of border protection in there. You did not vote for that, and Roger Wicker did. Is that my understanding?
Yes, that actually is the way it played out. I'm just one that I think we need to take care of that southern border first, and so do the folks in Mississippi. But, Roger's ranking member on armed services. So, that's a different perspective, and we just respect each other's votes. Well,
I understand that. How does all of this thing play into it now, Cindy? Because with Mitch McConnell, because that's a big deal there. The abdicating the minority leader power, and who knows what's going to happen as far as the new Congress. What's the atmosphere? What's the environment like now as far as just trying to get your bearings on chairmanships and the future?
Well, I tell you, Mitch McConnell really surprised us last Wednesday. I was very surprised. I was in my office, didn't see it coming. And, most of those in the leadership, I think, maybe had about an hour's heads up. But when he came to the floor and did that, of course, we were clinging on every word he was saying. And he just said, I got here when I was 42. I'm 82. It's time for somebody else to take the reins. But we will not have that vote for a new leader until November. So, that's a long ways out. Of course, Everybody's throwing their hat in the ring and making the contacts like they should be doing. But, I just think that we are coming into some new territory, and I think that we will end up with another leader that is very competent. I truly have confidence in that. And, a lot of it may have had to do with, the election coming up in November, to know that we're going to have a new leader after that and a new perspective. So, but it was a surprise to most of us. And I just think that positive things are going to happen.
I'm not sure how it works in the Senate that much as far as historically is, because it seems to me everything's off the table as far as what your chairmanship was, or if you happen to regain the gavel. Any seniority that plays into it. Is it just, it's all back to neutral and a starting line for people like Roger Wicker?
Well, when you get a new leader in, I really don't expect a lot of changes. I think the seniority will, stay what it is. I think that the transition would be very smooth. I don't anticipate that. I love the committee assignments that I have, Paul. It just really helps me help Mississippi to be on appropriations. And, of course, the Ag and the Energy and the Rules Committee that I'm on and the subcommittees are really important. But I don't have a lot of fear or anticipation in losing those. And, that's to be determined. But I don't anticipate that.
It's not written in stone, but you're saying that probably, as far as tradition goes, most of the people will remain in the same place.
I think so. I think that's most people's anticipation of that and understanding. Seniority. And so much of what happens under the dome is based on that, and I don't expect that to change a lot.
Well, as for a state like we are in the state of Mississippi, and I remember for so long talking about this, seniority matters because as a small state, it does give us power, and throughout the modern history, we've had a lot of power on both the Democrat side and the Republican side because of seniority. Speaking of which, you can pick up the paper and find out some hints and rumors and things every single week somewhere or the other. Cindy Hyde-Smith is calling it quits, or Cindy's going to do this or that. While I have the opportunity, let me just ask you point blank, what's your plans?
Oh, I am definitely planning on running again. And, you hear those rumors, and I think people that are interested in this seat are probably starting those rumors. But that's what it is. It's just rumors. I'm definitely planning to run again. I will be campaigning next year. Roger's up now. And I truly want to emphasize the importance of getting out the vote on March the 12th. Because, when there's a presidential election on the vote, it's just higher turnout. So when I'm up, that's not going to be the case. And I hope that, I'll have President Donald Trump helping me campaign that he will become president. So it's just different. But I really hope Mississippians realize that we do have an election next Tuesday, the primary. And please get out and go vote. And those that are over 65, go vote today. You can vote early. And I am preaching that everywhere I go, that, if you're going to be out of town or you think you're going to be out of town, if you're over 65, let's bank those votes early.
I do want to ask you this one because it's been a hot button issue as far as the IVF, and that was some miscommunication on a lot of the media, I think. But I mean, it's been a hot button issue out there. I do know that Missy McGee does have a Republican and state representative, of course, has a response to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling last month regarding personhood for in vitro fertilization. And that bill from Duckworth, when you read over it, was something else. Any comment on that?
Well, I am the one that started that firestorm that blocked the Duckworth bill. And, I just want everybody to know I fully support IVF. In vitro fertilization is just one of the best things we have going as far as helping people become parents. And, even in my family, we have used this and we just have miracle babies that we're so proud of. So I totally 150% support that. And, Paul, no state has banned IVF, nor is any state planning to ban IVF. But the bill that Tammy Duckworth had was just so far-reaching. I mean, it's an election year. Democrats are exploiting the confusion around the Alabama case so they can get the hype for the election. And, Tammy Duckworth's bill claimed to protect IVF, but what she doesn't mention is that it was overly vague language that would harm families, force religious entities to violate their beliefs. It removed the Freedom of Religion Act in it. It legalized cloning. It legalized cloning, Paul, that stuff that I just didn't even understand of a human-animal hybrid. So figure that one out. But it was an opportunity that the Democrats took that they could really exploit that and just run with it, saying the Republicans don't support IVF, just political rhetoric. But, we all have to look at every bill and see everything that is in it. And, the Alabama case was about, somebody that broke into a clinic. They were there unauthorized. Then they dropped some embryos, caused the death. So, yes, we need to look at that and the protection of the clinics in their research and things that they do every day to hold them harmless when they are doing every medical normal practice. But that was not the bill to do that. And I fully support a bill that would do that. But we have got to protect religious freedoms. And they had an opportunity to take a stab at it, and they took it. So I was, one senator can go down there and block it, and I was that senator. So I am taking oncoming fire. I was the head of the spear on that one. But, I'm chairman of the Pro-Life Caucus. We support IVF, and we support all families and parents trying to have children, and that just was not the way to do it. So I was glad that I had the opportunity to go down there and block it.
In a lot of ways, these people are very good with poison pills, as they're called. They've done that in the border bill itself. They put a couple of good things in there and that we need, but 90% of it is bad. And they know that, and they know the Republicans can't vote on it. So, it's a tactic that they've used over and over. But the main thing is to get your vote to the negative part for them, and the other one is to get liberal media out there to write headlines like this: IVF bill to protect access to treatments blocked by Cindy Hyde-Smith in Mississippi. And that's the major fruition of fruits from this thing.
Oh, yeah. We made Saturday Night Live. We made Meet the Press this weekend. But, that's just part of this business.
Yep.
And you just have to be able to take the incoming heat. It's kind of like having a 12-ounce glass, and 2 ounces is full of really good stuff, but 10 ounces is full of really bad stuff. Mm-hmm. And you've got to decipher what that is, and if you have to kill it, that's just what you have to do.
You got to toughen up, and you have done a good job on that one. Hang on for a second. I got a couple of other things to ask you about, some funding and more, coming up with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, who says she is running again. I was just talking about the border bill a little bit earlier, and we were talking about that. And the president and the talking points, or talking heads, like KJP said, it's basically the fault of the Republicans, because from day one, they have put this thing forth. Congress has put it forth, and Congress has rejected this, and they can't get Congress to work on it. And this and that has forced Congress. And then Peter Doocy kind of silenced things when he stepped up and said this.
So you guys talk a lot, including today, about how the border wouldn't be such a big deal if Congress would have just passed their immigration bill on day one. Who was in charge of Congress on day one?
That's a little bit of information that they just forgot to put in there.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Joe Biden opened that border, and he can close that border. And, that is just nonsense to say that it's Congress's fault that this happened. Well, we didn't have that problem before, and we've had over 9 million to cross that border since Joe Biden has been president. And, I mean, in January alone, Paul, we had 177,000 just in January. And we had a secure border. I mean, anybody that goes down there and talks to the Border Patrol agents for 5 minutes will tell you this is squarely put on Joe Biden, because he is definitely the one that opened that border. And the nonsense of saying that he can't close it without Congress is just nonsense.
Well, he can tear it down without Congress, but he can't fix it without Congress, is what he's basically saying. And the other part of this that's so aggravating is on that one, and even the border bill that we're talking about now that was so-called bipartisan, which it is not, it basically is saying, I want you to codify, I want you to legalize everything that I'm doing right now. And if you do that, then we'll call it bipartisanship. And that's basically it in simple terms.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. If they get one Republican to vote for it, just one, then it just is labeled bipartisan. But that's really the thing that concerns me the most right now in Washington, D.C., and the American public. Their number one concern is that border. And, it's just the threat of national security, of economic security that has been so exposed. I mean, you can see the stories over and over, just like the Lake and Riley story in Georgia, 22-year-old nursing student. And, I mean, a rape of a 14 or 13-year-old in Louisiana by a migrant that came across illegally. There's story after story after story. So we know what it has done to taint the national security. And, literally, Paul, I think, where am I going to be when I get that call of a major attack on this country? I just think it's coming. Where am I going to be when I get the call? I've said many times, we're going to have an event that'll make 9/11 look like a fireworks show.
I agree with you. And what also is scary that it's so coordinated. We had a story here, I don't have it in front of me, and they're called the Snake People or whatever. Some of the Chinese gangs that are filtering in here. Apparently the Chinese gangs now are working with the Mexican cartel to get people into America. And some of these people, as you heard from the lady yesterday, we played a soundbite, she lives on the Rio Grande. She knows the cartel. She said some of the people who are coming through are not, these destitute, ragged people. They're coming in $200 shoes and suits, and they have a lot of equipment on them, and they're making their way into different parts of this country. And it's no longer the border states who have the problems. I mean, the aforementioned things that you just said about the stories out of several locations, Georgia, Virginia, doesn't matter if you're on the border or not. Look at New York. Kathy Hochul announced yesterday she's got to send the National Guard to the New York City subway, so they don't know how to fix the situation.
I'm redeploying nearly 1,000 members of the New York State Police, MTA Police, and MTA National Guard to conduct bag checks in the city's busiest transits. They'll start seeing them at the tables, making sure that weapons are not being brought in, working in concert with our New York State Police, as well as our NYPD, because no one heading to their job or to visit family or to go to a doctor appointment should worry that the person sitting next to them possesses a deadly weapon.
Senator, I think behind the scenes there's some information that the red flags ought to be flying. There's some rumors that the terrorist attack could be closer than we think, and I hope those rumors are just rumors. Final thoughts, ma'am.
Well, we have a lot of issues here. We got the State of the Union address tonight, and if you want some really good entertainment, people watching that, they should be with a high level of skepticism, because it will be the most misleading rhetoric on the economy, the border, anything you can think of. I mean, it will just be pure entertainment tonight of blame shifting, of who's responsible for this. And
I agree.
I'm sure I will just find it disgusting, to be quite honest with you. A lot of things going on, a lot of scary things, and I have a front row seat, Paul.
I thank you, ma'am. I think the interesting thing is to watch and see if his nap time happens after the speech or during the speech, but we will be watching. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.